Hello, everybody. We're sorry for the delay. Technology when you're leaving the State Farm Center is not great, which we knew would happen, but we were going to try to do it immediately. But we are here. I'm Craig, that's Logan. Postgame show after a 74-59 loss to Penn State from the Illini. Follow us on all our social media pages. We're sorry this one is not live, but that just was not going to happen today with our locations. Follow us, social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. And we really do appreciate it. We're going to try and make it quick because Logan is on the road and service might not be great. But he is here. He is in the passenger seats with the Tim Lee.
Say hi, Tim. We're here, Craig. We're here, and we're happy. We're happy to be here.
Good to see you. I'm
good to see you too.
First of all, I am glad you got to go. You haven't been to a game in a long time, so I'm glad you got to go. I'm
been a minute.
Sorry that it was just one.
Yep, and I'm never returning. Don't know that I'm ever going to step foot inside State Farm Center again. Yeah, I'm glad I got to go to a game. It's been quite a while. Unfortunately, this was the one that I attended. Great crowd. Crowd was in it, but unfortunately, the team was not. I think there was far more energy in the crowd than there was in the entire Illini lineup.
Was this a break game? Was the Crush there? Crush seemed to be there, right? Someone on Twitter
Crush
was saying
there.
That
yeah.
it was not I don't know. They were talking about the Crush, how it's not wasn't.
Yeah, it might. It's not on. They're not on break yet, but it did seem there was a Crush population, but I don't know that it was necessarily as many Crush people as.
Yeah.
No, he's saying it wasn't. Yeah, they weren't on the ends or anything. So yeah, it was a smaller Crush game.
Okay. I'm trying to cheer you up. I'm at my parents'. I'm sitting in front of a Christmas tree. If that.
I couldn't honestly tell what exactly was behind you. It's a little grainy on my end because technology. But that's great. 'Tis the season.
The Grinch.
And you have the Grinch and Max. I love it.
The Grinch is trying to steal the tree. But yeah.
I love it.
Okay, so Illinois loses 74-59. Some of the stats here, not great. Matthew Meyer, 14 points. Skyy Clark, 11 points. Coleman Hawkins and Skyy each had 7 rebounds. A couple other guys with 3. No one else scored in double figures. All of Matthew Meyer's points, I believe, were in the first half. It's not
all, if not most, if not all. Yes.
Yeah, it's not.
He might have had 2 points or something in the second half, but I know most of his points, if not all, were in the first half.
Yeah, it's not letting me pull that up. But yeah, that's really the only stats I'm going to read because there aren't a whole lot to be talked about because this game was just bad from the get-go. Illinois did not come out prepared. They did not come out ready to play. And my first key here on our rundown is I think Illinois was completely outcoached. 100% outcoached, unprepared. I was since we are starting this late, I was able to listen to some of Brad's post game, and he is on fire. He is fired up. He is taking a lot of the blame himself. He says he saw this coming, which I feel like he says that all the time. No matter the outcome in his post games, he always says, well, we had 2 terrible days of practice. I saw this coming. But he did say these were the 2 worst days of practice he's seen in a long time, called out the leadership, said there's no one on this team that is leading this team right now. Said after the game, he walked in the locker room and had a text from Trent Frazier waiting on him. And he said Trent's text was better leadership than anything we got on the floor tonight. And Trent is in Serbia. So Trent is leading this team from Serbia. And he was specifically asked by Jeremy Warner of Terrence Shannon's leadership, and he gave a big fat fart noise into the mic. So that's where we're at. Did you see that in the State Farm Center that there was just no effort?
Yes. Yeah, it was evident. This team was, and I also was able to catch Brad's post game a little bit too, and he made the comments about how, it's easy to get fired up for a game at Madison Square Garden against the number 2 team in the country. And then you return home and absolutely laid an egg. There was no effort. Granted, Penn State was shooting lights out. So some of it was undefensible, but they also were getting wide open shots. They were driving to the basket, getting right past defenders. There was just nothing there. I've been questioning the whole leadership thing for a while. I know Terrence Shannon's a great player, but this is now the second straight game that he's been essentially non-existent. He did finally show up towards the end of the Texas game and in overtime, but he's supposed to be our best player, and you can't have that. Coleman, I love Coleman. I am on Team Coleman, but he does some things too that I question, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not in that locker room. I don't see everything that they're going through, but yeah, this team is definitely missing some of the leadership that they've had in the past, and you have to think at some point they'll figure that out. There are a good number of veteran players on this team, but I'm just not fully convinced who is fully invested into taking that role.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. At some point, you have to hope that somebody does, but I'm not sure who it's going to be.
Yeah. I was more so, yes, the leadership was lacking. Yes, the effort was lacking. But I watched the game with my dad, and he coached basketball for 30 plus years. So we were both kind of pointing out stuff. Same with you.
Same.
Yeah. Brad just didn't make adjustments. I think Shrewsbury came in with a better scouting report. They were posting up Skyy Clark. They were posting up Sincere Harris, and there was no help. They were just letting them go one-on-one in the post, and Penn State scored every single time. I mean, Pickett had 20-plus points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He was doing everything, and I think in the second half, Brad finally started sending help occasionally, but at that point, it was moot. Like, he makes halftime adjustments, but I don't feel like he makes many in-game adjustments.
Brad's adjustments were throw a whole new group of freshmen out there on the court and hope they bring more energy. That was the Brad Underwood adjustment in the second half. And it worked for a little bit. Mm-hmm. They cut the lead down to 5 or whatever it was, 4 or 5. And then
I think we lost him for a second. Yeah. But
yep.
That's what you get when you're on the road.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that was how they adjusted. They just threw a different lineup out there, and it helped briefly, but that's not good when your adjustments in the second half is to put a group of 4 freshmen on the court together as opposed to your veteran leaders, your experienced players, supposed to be your best players, and that's not good. That's a problem.
Yeah, that was the moment of the game there. Illinois cut it to 5 with a little more than 12 left, and they got it there. I'm not exactly sure how they got it there, but once they got it there, it was the 4 freshmen and I believe Coleman on the floor, and the offense there is what struggles. So you get 2 or 3 Skyy Clark decent looks at 3, probably not the best shot you could get. You would like more, but he was feeling it, so I didn't hate the shots. But that's the time where if you have Matthew Meyer and Terrence Shannon Jr. on the floor, you go to them to get it to the more possession game, as opposed to a jacked up Skyy Clark 3. That was the moment. Down 5, 12 minutes left. Almost forced a shot clock violation. 1 second on the shot clock, and Andrew Funk just dagger in the heart. And then very next possession, off a fast break, pull up 3. When you stab him in the heart, you like twist it. That was the twist. And then next possession, Miles Dredd just pulled the dagger out, and Illinois bled out from there. Like that moment right there, down 5, cut it at 12 minutes left, and then you can't capitalize and get it to 1 possession, and they hit 3 threes in 45 seconds.
The other thing too, and this was much earlier in the game, so it's kind of a moot point by how the result of it, but I think 4 minutes passed on the game clock before Terrence Shannon touched the ball. That may be an exaggeration.
That leads into my next thing.
It was several possessions. Several possessions went by, and he did not touch the basketball.
Are you concerned about Terrence?
Granted, Matt.
Go ahead. 8 points. I was going to say. I mean, Matt. I mean, they were season regulation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily worried about Terrence Shannon, but if he doesn't if he doesn't figure it out, this team is probably not nearly as good as what we think they can be. Not that there aren't other guys on this team that can help and that can score and that can do other things, because there are, but he is the most talented player on this roster. And if he continues to struggle to figure out his role or figure out what he needs to do or whatever the case may be, I think you're looking at a much less of a season than you might have been originally.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunate, but I think that's where we're at.
It's starting to be close to time that we question the blow to the head he took. Is that taking in effect? I mean, because we saw it last year with Curbelo, had the concussion and never really bounced back. We hope it's not the same situation. But his shot just looks off. He's not hitting from three. Like I said, he's got 8 combined points the last 2 games in regulation. Now, he did go off in overtime, but you're not always going to get to overtime. So he's a player you got to make sure to get right. And Illinois does have a week off before their next game, so maybe it's time to you give him a day off or 2 or something to get back into the swing of things. All right, might be a loaded question, but do you have an everyday guy of the game?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Matthew Meyer was the heart and soul of this team for the first half. He scored all the points. I just like what Sincere Harris brings. He doesn't bring a lot offensively. I mean, he'll occasionally hit a 3 maybe, or today he had the nice putback lay in. But he has no fear on the defensive end. And we've talked about him a lot already this season. He's already getting way more minutes than I thought he would. And it's hard to pick somebody out of a game like today, but I mean, I think he's an easy one for me. He just brings a lot defensively, and it just shows how much confidence Brad has in him to throw him out there, let him guard the other team's best player. I mean, he was, it's hard to say anybody was huge in this game, but I like what he brings, and he continues to impress me every single game.
Yeah, I don't have one. No one deserves it. I'm not giving one. I thought about Skyy Clark, but then I looked at his defensive numbers, and his defensive numbers were awful. He can't guard anybody. So
how about Ty Rodgers?
Ty Rodgers did provide a spark. I did write that down. Ty Rodgers had some early signs of some improvement. So if I had to pick one, that would be a good one. Yeah. But do you have a good and a bad even?
A good and a bad. The whole thing was bad.
Yeah, the whole thing was bad.
No, I really don't. There's hard to pick any positivity out of this experiment. Yeah. Experiment, all of the above.
So
it was just messy.
Ranked 17th, you get a win over number 2, and then you lose at home to Penn State by 15. Do they fall in the rankings? Do they rise in the rankings? Do they stay at 17?
I don't think they move much at all.
Yeah.
I think they'll be somewhere between like maybe 15 and 18, but that's about it. Yeah. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Let's ask the same question we asked that was proposed to us after the Texas game, where one of our loyal viewers asked if we would rather have the win over Texas or a win over Maryland. And we both agreed that the win over Texas at that point in the season was better than having a win over Maryland. Would you rather have the win over Texas or a win at home over Penn State? Because I think this one's going to hurt you.
Yeah, this is the first loss of the season that could hurt. I think Penn State's a bubble team, maybe at best. So
this is a game that in March can cost you a seed line.
Yeah. I would rather have this one than Texas, and am I in the minority on that?
I don't think so. I mean, trust me, I think everybody would love to have a win over a number 2 team in the country, but
would you rather have a road win at Maryland or a home win against Penn State?
You can't afford to lose home games to teams like Penn State.
Bingo.
You just can't afford to. Maryland's a good team, and it's a road game. Like that, you're going to lose those games more often than you're going to win them. You cannot afford to have these losses.
Mr. Bracketology here.
Not even a regular loss. Like they looked awful.
Awful. Yeah, they weren't in it. Yeah, the only time they were in it after it was a tie game at the under 4 of the first half, and after that it wasn't a game. Is this a quad 1 game?
No, I don't think.
Be quad 2?
I think it. I don't know where they're at. I don't know where they're ranked in the net, but I would think this is a quad 2. But I'm not positive. Don't quote me on that.
What's the cutoff?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I already got the net rankings up.
50. It's 50 at home, right?
I have no idea. I have no clue.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'm trying to find.
I think
it's not.
I feel like it's
coming up.
I don't remember, but I think it's probably a quad 2.
All right, Purdue, Indiana, Illinois, Maryland, Iowa, Rutgers, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern, Michigan State, Penn State 79 in the net.
I think that's a quad 2.
Okay, well, that's
I'm not positive.
Great luck. Not a great look.
No.
All right. No. They have a week off. I hope Brad rips them a new butthole in practice this week. They play Saturday. Alabama A&M back to the non-con. A little bit of a cupcake. They're 330 in Ken Palm out of 360. So not a good team. Got to be a win, but a week off to prepare for this one.
Yeah, you can't do this again. I mean, Penn State's obviously a much better team than what you're going to see on Saturday, but my dad and I were walking into the game, he made the comment like he was a little concerned about this game. And I said, because you think it's a trap game? He just said, this is the type of game. Illinois hasn't played this level of team yet. They've played
really good
top 25 teams, and they've played really bad teams.
That's a good point, Tim.
Good point, Tim, says Craig. They hadn't played a team like this, a middle of the road, not very good power conference school team. And I don't want to say Penn State's not very good. I think there's a lot of talent on this team, and they showed it tonight. They shoot the ball well. Tonight they were wide open. Today, this game is at 11 o'clock this morning. Today they were left wide open, but even going into the game, they were a good 3-point shooting team.
Is this Penn State team better than some of the ones they've had in the past?
Maybe.
I feel like it's not. But
it's a veteran team. They'll beat some teams, and they've already done one today. So I don't know if they're a tournament team, but they'll upset some teams. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Yeah. My last comment, Craig. I love roller coasters. Roller coasters are my favorite thing. I am not looking forward to the roller coaster of a season we're about to endure. So, love roller coasters.
You should have led with that.
Well, I was a little frazzled at the beginning of this show. Yeah, love roller coasters, but not these. Nope.
Does Tim have anything he wants to add?
Yeah, anything you want to add?
It'll get better.
He says it'll get better.
Sounds like a dad.
Faith in Brad.
Have faith in Brad. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I agree.
I
don't think this is not the low point, or maybe this is the low point. I should probably say that.
No, this is the gross years.
We're past the low point.
We did survive the gross years.
We're past the low point. I trust this staff more than I trust any coach that we've had the last.
Yeah, I agree.
However long it's, and too, this team's young. These games are going to happen. So, I just wish it wasn't a Big Ten game. So
these games are going to happen, and this team is young, but you got to figure out who's going to be who's your guy, who's your leader.
Yep.
We've been fortunate enough to have All-Americans and senior leaders on this team the last 3 years, 2-3 years, and who can help carry this team when things are not going well. Like, even if they didn't win this game, but like somebody showed up towards the end to like at least attempt to put them back into the game.
You know what thought I had?
Them within striking distance.
Yeah.
They weren't even able to do that. They did it at the 12-minute mark, and then it was over.
Yeah. The thought I had during the game, and you always laugh at me because of my love of this, I correlate the uniforms they wore today to Ayo and Kofi, and Ayo and Kofi are not there anymore. The uniforms didn't do it for me today. I wish they just...
Not a fan of the white script, huh?
I just feel like there were so many big moments in those with Ayo and Kofi that maybe find something else. But anyways, all right, I'll let you get back to whatever you're doing. Get back on the road. We've talked enough. We've fought through the technology. We'll see what happens in January when I'm at the game, and might try to do another one of these, and it might not work. So
yeah, hopefully, if you're able to connect to the Wi-Fi, you might have a different situation. But I was not able to connect to the Wi-Fi, so
yeah.
I have not been able to get much of a cell reception at all in Champaign until I got to some place that had Wi-Fi. So
Starbucks.
we're doing great.
Illinois loses 74-59. Give it like, subscribe, share, all this good stuff. Sorry for the delay, but we're not running away from losses. That was our big thing. We didn't want it to seem like we were running away from losses, so we did get a loss post-game show. For Logan, I'm Craig. See you next time.
Peace.